Welcome back. Chapter 24, which continues the adventure of the Sierra Morena, consists of the story of a man that the narrator calls variously the shabby knight of the Sierra, the knight of the woods, or the broken one. Don Quixote, who desires to find some sort of remedy for the young man's suffering, implores him to tell them the cause that has brought you to live and die in these solitudes like a brutish animal. After Sancho and the goatherd show him charity, offering the young man something to eat, absolutely nothing is said about the more than 100 escudos. He led them to a little green meadow located on the other side of a nearby crag. It is yet another locus amenus. Is this perhaps a symbol of Spain, the figurative breadbasket of Europe north of Gibraltar? Early in his story, the young man establishes a rule. You must promise me that you will not interrupt with any questions or anything else the thread of my sad story, because at the point you do so, whatever remains to be told will cease then and there. In case the reader does not remember, the narrator explicitly links this demand to Sancho's story of Lope Ruiz. These words from the broken one brought to Don Quixote's mind the story that his squire had told him. The young man's name is Cardenio, and his hometown a city among Andalusia's best. By the way, in Cervantes' day, the surname Cardenas was that of a powerful clan of Andalusian nobles. Our Cardenio has suffered a tragic love affair with Luscinda, whom he blames for being less firm than my honorable intentions deserved. We should remember Marcela's disapproval of certain chauvinistic attitudes and behaviors. Let's attend to the details of Cardenio's story. In love with Luscinda, the logical thing was to marry her. At some point, Luscinda's father decided that for the sake of appearances, he was obliged to refuse my entry into his home. Cardenio compares his relationship with Luscinda to that of Pyramus and Thisbe, two lovers in one of Ovid's fables who communicated through a crack in the wall between their homes. There are poems and love letters, and Cardenio asks Luscinda's father to allow them to marry, but he responds that it is the responsibility of Cardenio's father to make that demand. All appears well, but when Cardenio goes to talk to his father, he finds him with an open letter in his hand. It turns out that the Duke Ricardo, a grandee of Spain who has his estate in the best area of Andalusia, wants Cardenio to be a companion and not a servant of his eldest son. Cardenio's father thinks it's a great opportunity for his son. In 2 days you will depart, Cardenio, to do as the Duke wishes. Note here the role played by social classes, or rather social castes. Luscinda and Cardenio appear to belong to more or less the same caste, whereas the Duke pertains to a far superior category. Nevertheless, dukes, as Cervantistas know, are not portrayed very well in Don Quixote. The remainder of Cardenio's narrative consists of amorous misadventures that result in jealousy and betrayal among late adolescents. Woven into these events are social issues, such as the roles of first and second-born nobles, as well as the right of other citizens to resist the amorous, legal, and political desires of these same nobles. Before leaving to serve the Duke, Cardenio talks to Luscinda and then her father, begging him to delay a few days before marrying off his daughter. In other words, it's Cardenio who postpones his marriage to Luscinda, and he never tells his own father about his plans. As things turn out, it's Fernando, the Duke's younger son, who befriends Cardenio. This is a stock figure that Cervantes' readers would have recognized as a segundón, or second in line, who had no right to inherit the fortune of his father, who typically would have left everything to his eldest son. According to Cardenio, this is an intense relationship. The most happy about my arrival was the Duke's younger son, named Fernando, a gallant young man, a gentleman, liberal and inclined to fall in love, who in short order wanted us to be such good friends that everyone talked about it. We already know from the goatherd of the previous chapter that it's Fernando who has destroyed Cardenio's life. So whether or not he is truly a liberal gentleman is very much at issue. Note also that the Spanish word for gentleman, caballero, is the same as that for knight. Don Quixote represents a medieval version of a caballero and Fernando a modern one. And the difference between the two is arguably the central theme of Cervantes' novel. Recall Don Quixote's obsessive preference for valiant knights and his distaste for courtly knights. Fernando and Cardenio soon share their most intimate secrets. Fernando wants desperately a peasant, one of his father's vassals, and he is determined to promise to be her husband in order to have sex with her. Cardenio resolves to tell the Duke about this as a loyal servant. But Fernando distracts his friend, enticing him to leave town with him for a few months, claiming that absence will help him get over the peasant girl. According to Cardenio, Fernando's plan is to go to see and trade some excellent horses in my hometown, which is the mother of the world's best. Once again, the races of beasts of burden are ever in the background of Cervantes' narrative. I would argue that they are symbolic of the races of people. The real reason Cardenio agrees to go home, of course, is because he wants to see Lustinda. And so he endorses Fernando's plan because, in effect, absence always did its job despite the strongest thoughts. If we think about it, this is a curious observation. On the surface, Cardenio simply agrees with Fernando's professed desire to distance himself from the peasant girl. But does the statement indicate Cardenio's own unexpressed desire to forget about Lustinda? He did leave her on hold, after all. And there's something else strange here. Cardenio specified that he was not going to be a servant, but now he feels obligated as a servant to inform the Duke about his son's affair. And to top things off, he has also become Fernando's best friend. Cardenio's different roles are creating a web of contradictory obligations. He is out of his league. Contrasting with this chaos, Cardenio offers a remarkably clear analysis of the inconsistency of male desire. Love in young men is usually nothing but appetite, which, since it has as its final goal pleasure, ends as soon as it obtains it. Then Cardenio moves from this theory to the specific case of his new friend Fernando, whom we now learn had already had sex with the peasant girl and now wanted to leave town in order to avoid having to face the consequences. As soon as Don Fernando had enjoyed the peasant girl, his longings waned and his desires cooled. And if at first he pretended to want to depart in order to remedy them, now he truly wished to be absent so as not to act on them. Cardenio now seems wise in the ways of the world.